Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Pmukku. Today we had started a new series of Indian rescue operations in India and abroad. India's first rescue operation is Operation Poomalai, 1987. Starting with an introduction. What is the Operation Poomalai? Where is this operation connected? Political aspects of this operation? And so on. Operation Poomalai, 1987. Information. Point A. Overview of the Sri Lankan Civil War. The Sri Lankan Civil War began in 1983 and lasted for over 25 years, resulting in the deaths of tens of thousands of people. The conflict arose from ethnic tensions between the majority Sinhalese population, who are mainly Buddhist, and the minority Tamil population, who are mainly Hindu. The Tamils had long complained of discrimination and marginalization by the Sinhalese government, and this eventually led to the rise of armed Tamil separatist groups, the most prominent of which was the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE. Point B. Indian involvement in Sri Lanka. In 1987, India intervened in Sri Lanka with the aim of bringing an end to the civil war. The Indian government, led by Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, had been increasingly concerned about the impact of the conflict on India's own security and stability. India also had a significant Tamil population, particularly in the southern state of Tamil Nadu, which put pressure on the Indian government to intervene. The Indian Peacekeeping Force, IPKF, was deployed to Sri Lanka to disarm the LTTE and enforce a peace agreement between the Sri Lankan government and Tamil separatists. The IPKF was initially welcomed by the Tamil population, who saw them as protectors against the Sri Lankan military. However, the LTTE soon began to view the IPKF as a hostile force and launched attacks against them. Point C. Need for Operation Poomalai. By mid-1987, the IPKF had faced stiff resistance from the LTTE, and the peace process had stalled. The LTTE continued to carry out attacks on the IPKF and refused to surrender their weapons. The Indian government believed that a decisive military action was needed to eliminate the LTTE's military capability and bring the conflict to an end. In response, they launched Operation Poomalai in October 1987. Background. The origins of the ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka can be traced back to the country's independence from Britain in 1948. Following the establishment of a Sinhala majority government, legislation was passed that was perceived as discriminatory by the significant Tamil minority population. In the 1970s, the Tamil United Liberation Front, TULF, was formed when two major Tamil parties united to advocate for a federal system that would grant the Tamils greater autonomy, including a separate state of Tamil Eelam in the north and east of Sri Lanka. However, factions within and outside the TULF emerged, advocating more radical and militant approaches, which exacerbated divisions and escalated into a violent civil war. In 1983, the Sri Lankan Civil War was ignited by the 4-4 Brevo incident, which resulted in state-sponsored anti-Tamil riots that claimed the lives of nearly 3,000 Tamil civilians. This event exacerbated ethnic tensions and fueled the recruitment efforts of militant factions, such as the LTTE, who capitalized on the growing Tamil dissent and escalated their guerrilla activities. In May 1985, the guerrillas perpetrated the Anuradhapura massacre, targeting the Sri Mahabodhi Shrine, a sacred Buddhist site that houses the world's oldest living human-planted tree, which resulted in the deaths of at least 150 civilians and monks. This attack was viewed as retaliation for the 1985 Valvettiturai massacre, where 70 Tamil youths were herded by the Sri Lankan army into the town's library before it was obliterated by high explosives. In 1987, the Sri Lankan government launched a military campaign against the insurgency, which included the laying of a siege on Jaffna, a stronghold of the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, LTTE. India, with a significant Tamil population in the southern part of the country, had been supporting the Tamil factions, including the LTTE, and had called on Sri Lanka to halt the offensive, citing concerns over the violation of sovereign rights. However, these efforts proved to be unsuccessful, leading India to send a convoy of ships to provide humanitarian aid to the affected areas. The Sri Lankan Navy intercepted the convoy on 4 June 1987, consisting of 19 fishing boats carrying 38 tons of food, fuel, and medicine, along with an Indian Coast Guard vessel. The convoy was confronted by several Sri Lankan patrol boats in the Palk Strait, resulting in a 4-hour standoff before the Indian convoy was forced to turn back. After the naval mission proved unsuccessful, the Indian government made the decision to provide symbolic support to the Tamil rebels and to preserve the credibility of Indian Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi among the Tamil population by carrying out an airdrop of humanitarian supplies to the LTTE. This mission was designated as Operation Poomalai or Eagle Mission 4. Planning of Operation Poomalai. Point A. Objectives of the operation. The main objectives of Operation Poomalai were to capture Jaffna, the LTTE's stronghold, and establish control over the region. Additionally, the operation aimed to disarm the LTTE and neutralize their military capability. The Indian government hoped that the operation would bring an end to the conflict and pave the way for a peaceful resolution. Point B. Strategic planning. The IPKF developed a two-pronged strategy for the operation, which involved simultaneous attacks from land and sea. The operation was carefully planned to avoid civilian casualties and minimize damage to infrastructure. The IPKF divided their forces into several columns, each with a specific objective, to launch a coordinated attack on the LTTE. Point C. Tactical planning. The IPKF deployed a large number of troops, artillery, and armored vehicles for the operation. The troops were equipped with the latest weapons and equipment and received extensive training before the operation. The operation was carried out with precision, and the troops encountered heavy resistance from the LTTE. The LTTE had prepared for the operation by laying mines and booby traps, and they used guerrilla tactics to inflict heavy casualties on the Indian troops. Execution of Operation Poomalai. Point A. Deployment of Indian forces. The Indian government deployed around 10,000 troops of the Indian Peacekeeping Force, IPKF, to Sri Lanka for Operation Poomalai. The IPKF consisted of several battalions of infantry, armored vehicles, and artillery, and was supported by the Indian Navy through a naval blockade of the Jaffna Peninsula. Point B. Initial stages of the operation. Operation Poomalai was launched on 10 October 1987 with an amphibious assault on the Jaffna Peninsula. The IPKF secured key locations, including the Palali airfield and Jaffna town. The LTTE initially offered little resistance and retreated into the countryside. The IPKF set up base in Jaffna town and began consolidating its position. Point C. Final stages of the operation. The LTTE regrouped and launched counterattacks against the IPKF. They used guerrilla tactics and booby traps to inflict heavy casualties on the Indian troops. The IPKF responded with a scorched earth policy, destroying homes and buildings suspected of housing LTTE members. The fighting escalated, and the IPKF suffered significant losses. The operation was officially declared over on 31 December 1987, after the IPKF had secured control over most of the Jaffna Peninsula. However, sporadic fighting continued for several years after the operation officially ended. Outcomes of Operation Poomalai. Point A. Successes of the operation. Operation Poomalai was a tactical success for the IPKF, as they were able to establish control over the Jaffna Peninsula and disarm the LTTE to a certain extent. The operation also paved the way for the signing of the Indo-Sri Lankan Accord in 1987. Point B. Challenges and failures of the operation. Despite the successes of Operation Poomalai, the IPKF faced several challenges and failures. The LTTE was not fully disarmed, and the IPKF was unable to completely eliminate the group. The operation also resulted in significant loss of life, including civilians, and the displacement of thousands of people. The political fallout from the operation strained relations between India and Sri Lanka and led to resentment among the Tamil community in Sri Lanka. Point C. Legacy of Operation Poomalai. The legacy of Operation Poomalai is still felt in Sri Lanka today. The LTTE was eventually defeated in 2009, but the conflict has left deep scars in Sri Lankan society. The Indian intervention is also still a sensitive issue in Sri Lanka and India. The operation has been criticized for its human rights violations and the impact it had on civilians. However, it is also seen by some as a necessary intervention to bring an end to the conflict and to protect the Tamil community in Sri Lanka. Conclusion. Point A. Overall assessment of Operation Poomalai. Operation Poomalai was a significant military intervention by India in Sri Lanka during the Civil War. The operation achieved some tactical successes, but also faced challenges and failures. The impact of the operation on civilians and the political fallout strained relations between India and Sri Lanka. Overall, the success of the operation is a matter of debate, and its legacy is still felt in Sri Lanka and India today. Point B. Lessons learned. Operation Poomalai highlights the challenges and complexities of military interventions in conflicts. It underscores the importance of understanding the local context, the risks involved, and the potential impact on civilians. The operation also highlights the need for diplomacy, political negotiations, and a long-term strategy for sustainable peace. The experience of Operation Poomalai can provide valuable lessons for future military interventions and peacekeeping missions. Point C. Future implications for India's foreign policy. Operation Poomalai had significant implications for India's foreign policy and its relations with Sri Lanka. It demonstrated India's willingness to intervene in regional conflicts and its commitment to regional security. The operation also underscored the importance of maintaining good relations with neighboring countries and of promoting regional cooperation. The experience of Operation Poomalai can inform India's approach to future regional conflicts and its foreign policy priorities. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe, share, like and comment. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe, share, like and comment.